Lori, I know on your time on council, you've mentioned the fact that healthcare costs for the city have increased. I think it's 247% in the last 12 years.
That's right.
You mentioned that in terms of contracts with the police and firefighter unions. There really didn't seem to be much support on city council for looking at that issue. Why do you think that is, and do you think that would change with the new council?
Well, it depends on who's elected. It is an issue that we must address, just like you are in your homes, like every single business owner has done over the last 5 years. Healthcare costs have increased for all of us. The difference is at the city, we're just pretending like it's not happening. And that's part of the reason that we have such a budget deficit. It affects all employees, not just police and fire, although they are most of our employees. It affects everyone. So I've been pushing for our risk assessors at the city to, first of all, develop a plan that is has some choices in it. All we offer right now is the Cadillac plan, and that costs about $20,000 per employee, which is quite a bit. So there's a number of things that we can do at the city to reduce our health care costs.
Okay, thank you. Carolyn, what is your question for Lori?
Lori, you led the effort to get 4-year terms for Cincinnati City Council. What are you expecting will happen with 4-year terms? What difference is that going to make to the council and to you?
Good question. Thank you so much. I really believe it's going to make a huge difference. One of the things I noticed when I was elected is that the first year you're learning and you're doing some things and collaborating, but the second year, when it's an election year, everything stops because people devote their energy to running their campaigns. Most things stop. People treat each other differently on council because they're suddenly competitors. So I think this move to 4-year terms is going to make us work more as a team. I think it'll help us take a longer view. Some things don't get addressed and the can is kicked, as people have said, because it can't be completed quickly within the election cycle. So now that we have a 4-year election cycle, I think you'll see us really seriously talking about reducing the deficit, shared services, and things like that that take time.
Very good. Herman, your question for Lori?
In the past, you've discussed right-sizing the city's police and fire department. What do you mean by that? What kind of actions would you take?
Well, what I mean by that is that we have to look at it. Right now, what's been happening on council for many, many years is just holding it harmless, and you can't hold 67% of your budget harmless when we're in this deficit problem. So I think we just need to look at how we're spending the money all across the board, and that would include our 2 largest departments. And if we are spending 10 to 15% more than cities do on those departments, then we need to look at why. Could we do things differently? Could we share services in some areas? Or is it maybe restructuring that we need to do? We just need to look at it. And if we continue to say, well, we're not going to look at those 2 largest departments, I don't think we'll solve the budget deficit.
Cincinnati has a 53% child poverty rate, up from 48% in 2010. What steps will you take during the next 4 years to address this issue?
I think there's a couple things that we can do that would really help. One of them is called the Cincinnati Preschool Promise, and many of you have probably heard about this. I really support this. This is basically making early childhood education, quality early childhood education, available to any child in Cincinnati. And the reason it's so important is the studies are there, the data is there. If you get quality preschool education, you're going to succeed. You're going to succeed in school, you're going to graduate, you're going to be a productive member of society, and I think that will really help this terrible problem that we do have with poverty. So we support that on City Council, and we'll be doing a partnership with the community for that. The other thing that I think is so important is hiring local. So I've sponsored a motion supported by council that when we subsidize these big projects, whether it's streetcar or Dunnhumby, we want to incentivize the developers to hire Cincinnatians. Cincinnatians deserve some preference when we're funding these projects. Thank you. Once again, I'm Laure Quinlivan, the only mom on council, the only elected mom anyway, and I think that's important. I also think my background as an investigative reporter is so helpful to me on council in investigating things for you and also the solutions. And that's why I've been able to lead a lot of great things for the city that are creating jobs and helping people, like community entertainment districts, like mobile food vending, like mobile produce vending. And I hope you'll look at the other ones in the brochure. But I really appreciate the ability to serve on council. Thank you.
All right.